There may be no easier way to break into the fitness industry as a business owner than to start your own cycle studio. And right now is actually a really great time to do it. You don't need to have a background in the fitness industry. You don't need to be a personal trainer or fitness instructor, though it does help. You don't have to have a background in business. That helps too. But if you don't, all you really need is to love cycling, to love indoor cycling. Uh, you need it to be a passion of yours. And that's what this webinar is all about. It's all about how to turn your passion for cycling into a career as the owner of a cycle studio. I want to welcome everyone who's here tonight. My name is Will Wadley. I'm the marketing director for Spirit Commercial Fitness. And this month's webinar is one that we're very excited about. We just think there's a lot of people that we've seen that come through, and the number of people that have signed up and the number of people that are tuned in right now. Spirit Commercial Fitness, as you may know, manufactures and markets commercial fitness equipment. We've been doing it for a long time. One of the things that Spirit Commercial is known for is its industry-leading warranty and large support network throughout the United States. Spirit Commercial is a sub-brand of Diaco International, which is a huge global company that manufactures and sells all kinds of fitness equipment, employs thousands of people. And the cool thing about that is it's allowed us, our team, to put on this webinar series. We do a webinar every month, and each one is focused on helping people who are interested in breaking into the fitness industry, into owning their own fitness facility, whether it's a cycle studio or a big box gym. We're interested in helping them get started. And we've put a lot of time and resources and thought into making it as easy as possible for people who have always wanted to be the owner of their own gym. And into this case, cycle studio. That's what this webinar series is all about. I want to quickly introduce you to our team, the people who have organized this. So if you can see my screen, we'll get going through here. This is the team right here. We have Brent Brown, who is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Spirit Commercial. Mateo Baker, he's our East Coast Regional Sales Manager, and myself, of course. In this webinar today, we have a guest speaker who we're super excited about. His name is Peter Vanderloos, and he is the owner and founder of Black Orchid Yoga and Cycle. It's a pretty large cycle studio based in Billings, Montana, and they've been in the game for a couple years now, and they're thriving. And what you might not know, or what you might be surprised to hear, is that Peter actually is a former professional musician. That's one of the things he has a background in, is as a musician. And so he's a really great testament to what we believe is the truth, that you don't have to necessarily be a cycle instructor or someone who has a background in the fitness industry to do something like what he's done. We think that opening your own cycle studio is a very accessible way to get started in the fitness industry and then expand out, like he has, into other things, including yoga. Some details that you can see here, we'll put these up later and towards the end of the webinar as well, in case you're interested in learning more about Peter. But the thing is, we have him here today, so we're going to bring him in actually right now with Mateo Baker, and they're going to have a conversation and go through really everything that it took for him to get started, and how he runs his business now, and what he hopes to do with it in the future. So I think we can see both of them now. Can you guys talk for me? Let's make sure everyone can hear you. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. You got me?
Yep, I can hear you, Mateo, and I think, yep, you're coming in loud and clear. Terrific. All right, well, I think that Peter's background's a little more interesting than ours.
That's a fact.
As fancy as the Spirit logo is, you win.
Good.
So where are you right now? That's one of your studios?
So
Is that
I'm
your main cycle studio?
in our cycle studio, we call it the arena.
Yeah, I think I get why. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Matteo, I'm going to hand this off to you, and I'm really excited to hear your conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about this webinar today, and thanks for the kind introductions, Will. I'm real excited to get to talk to Peter. Peter's such a fun guy. He's from well, I don't know if he's originally from there. We'll find that out, but he's also an LA guy like myself. So we have those parallels. But Peter, I'd like to pick your brain a little bit, and
Sure.
and I'm sure a lot of folks that are out there that want to start in their own studios are interested to hear your background. And so I'd like to know a little bit about your background and, what inspired you to open up a cycling studio, especially as a musician?
It even goes further back. I think, obviously performing was, and that was a huge part of my world for so long. And, when you get to be 30 something years old and you got kids and you don't want to be bouncing around on stage for a bunch of, I just got you just get to that point where I just didn't want to, you're sick of traveling, sick of doing that. And this was a way, and I remember going to, I want to say it was a Soul Cycle class was the first one I went to. And I don't remember, must have been, they were relatively new at the time. And I got drug into this class by a friend, and I was just kind of blown away by the teacher and how, once you're in the class and you just kind of forget that you're in a class and this person's entertaining. I mean, they're legit entertainers.
Right.
Of course, my mind is going, man, I wish that there was some really cool, like, lights and just, it was really bright. And but either way, I forgot that I was actually in a cycle class, and I was just, and I was like, how have I never done anything like this before? It's just crazy. And being more of like a gym guy myself, as long as I could remember, just going to gyms. And then I ended up doing the same with a hot yoga class, which I thought was absolutely absurd. I think somebody bet me that I couldn't make it through a 60-minute hot yoga class. And of course, the very competitive individual in myself, I'll try it. And lo and behold, 10 minutes in, I was on my ass. But it was the best feeling ever.
Sure.
And I was like, how have I never, and that's kind of where the whole niche studio thing came from. And it's become this huge, like, boom of cycle studios, Pilates studios, bar studios, yoga studios. I know that are really giving big box gyms a run for their money right now, just because it's so dedicated to one.
Right.
In that somebody really loves.
So your niche that you had already by performing and knowing stage lights, those kind of things, you thought that, hey, there's some parallels here, and I think I could improve on what I'm already seeing out there. Is that correct? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that, you get to a point, and, obviously going back to us opening, we were going to be Yoga Cycle Bar. Like that was, which is basically ballet bar, which is another awesome workout that my wife is obsessed with. And it's more dancer based. It wasn't really my thing, but, as us going into this thing, it was three niche things that were absolutely killing it everywhere we were going. Like we would travel, go to these places in Portland, Los Angeles, Denver, all of these places, and they were just packed. And so I'm sitting here going, well, I want to try everything. And I tried them all, and they're all totally different, but they are amazing, amazing workouts. Something you can't get when you go into a gym. And I would just find myself walking around talking to people, and then I'd leave about an hour later and be like, what the hell did I even do? Like I literally went there and ran my mouth for an hour and didn't work out at all. I mean, I lifted a couple weights, but I wasn't getting results. There wasn't like an actual timed class. And I think just for me, A-type personality, I need to be in a timed class with someone telling you what to do. And that was kind of my big thing. And that's how I started into all these niche studios and really, really gaining that love for classes, and not to mention the community was a huge thing too. A lot of the communities at these places, the teachers are more personable. You know, that was just what drew me in a little bit more.
Well, you know, what's inspiring about what you've done, and I think what's unique, and Will touched on it in the introductions, is that, I mean, you're not like Brent and I and a lot of folks in our team. I mean, we're just gym guys. I mean, we worked in gyms, not just gym guys that we attend gyms, but we've worked in them for many, many years. We started a career here. You're not the typical gym guy that just rolled over from as a personal trainer or as a maybe an instructor and then wanted to open their own studio. You came from a different background. So that comes into my next question. Do you feel that there's a need to have a solid fitness background in order to open your own studio, or do you encourage anyone to give it a go if they have the passion like you did?
I do believe in solid certification. You know,
Okay.
there is a risk factor that goes into a lot of this stuff where, you know, people are getting some certifications that are, you know, a weekend certification. I do believe, and not to mention, you can learn those things. I do think a background is helpful. It's not obviously not needed because I'm not, but I did take the proper steps in getting my certification.
Sure.
And really loving the craft of what I was doing. That was always, you know, and especially in yoga too, when you're in 108 degrees and you got 65 people in that room, when you have people from 60 years old to 18 years old, dancers to people that just had, you know, ACL surgery or something, you know, understanding how to create modifications and create, you know, it's not a one size fits all deal, but when you're teaching to a group full of people, you have to understand how to redirect what you're teaching to someone that you feel like is struggling or to someone who's doing something wrong, and to have that education to be able to create those modifications for those people that, you know, because I think that's another big piece that people will walk into a place that's kind of a, you know, they have you know, one speed, and it's not for everybody. But if you can understand those modifications and create, you know, you're going to get a bigger return. That's initially what people are wanting. You don't want someone to come in and say, oh, that was a joke, that teacher didn't know what they were doing, leave and go tell two people tell four. I mean, it's the domino effect. You want to be able to have your teachers really know what's going on, really being tuned to who's in the class, and then be able to create those modifications so those people don't feel like, God damn, I can't go any farther, and all these, you know, young girls up in the front row killing it, and they make and it makes people insecure and they don't want to leave. And I mean, another part of that goes into customer service. And I always say the Black Orchid experience starts in the parking lot, not in the class. And I want those people at the front desk, the people that are working here, down to our childcare gals and our cleaning gals, to make everybody feel as comfortable as possible and feel like they're a part of something, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've walked into numerous studios where I was like, do you guys even want my money? Like, I don't understand what's going on.
Right.
It's like,
no attention at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Like what is that movie, Pretty Woman, when she walks into that place and no one just, you know, they're just like, that's pretty expensive. I don't think it's going to fit you. You might as well go down the street. That's not the kind of space that we want to create. We want to create it for everybody, make everyone feel uncomfortable, because it is the most uncomfortable thing to walk into a place, not only a gym, but into a studio like this, when you walk in and it's full and you've never done this before, and you have this crazy team
quite intimidating
all over the place, you know, saying the F word every other word, and it can be a little daunting, but to make sure to go out of your way to make someone feel comfortable. That's when you start to get that return. And you know,
so that's led to your success, right? And that makes sense because of how passionate you are and the level of quality that you're going to deliver to your customer base. That's I get it. I guess I want to get on to the next thing, which segues me into how did you come up with the concept of Black Orchid? That's going to be my next question, but I want to close out that one by saying that I probably should have rephrased my question, because it really wasn't just about, you know, should somebody be certified before they start teaching or getting in front of somebody. It was more about, if I have a passion and a drive that I really want to get into the fitness industry and start a company, I at least need to surround myself with talented people that can get that done and can deliver what you're saying, that, you know, make sure you bring in quality instructors and people that are going to take care of people. But there might be some people that have no interest really in being a certified trainer or instructor, but they still love the business.
Yeah, no, I think that you don't need a background in anything to do anything. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if you have a passion for something, it doesn't matter what it is. And, you know, you hear it all the time. You can dream it, you can do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, look, you know, I got to that point where failure's not in my vocabulary. And, you know, it hasn't always been like that, Mateo. Like, we struggled our first 2 years. And I can't tell you how many times I wanted to come here, put a note on the door and be like, I'm out, I'm going back on tour. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't for me. But you know what? The fact of the matter is, failure wasn't an option in our realm.
And I love that. And I love that about you, that you just stayed with it. I mean, look, and we'll get to this too. I mean, you dealt through COVID, maybe one of the worst years ever, and you went right through it. We're going to get there. Let's back up though a little bit, because I want folks to understand, because I think it's so interesting, is that how did you even come up with the concept of Black Orchid?
You know, well, if you're talking about like just our concept, you know, when my wife and I moved to Billings, Montana, there wasn't any core power yogas, there wasn't any soul cycles, there wasn't grit cycle, there wasn't, you know, cycle bar, there wasn't any of those places that we were used to. And so I'm sitting here going, and another big part of my story is I've been sober for a long time. I'm in my 14th year, and fitness is a huge part of my sobriety story. It is a huge part of my life. It's that one piece that, you know, keeps all four wheels turning. You know, that's and again, I think a lot of people have, you know, the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, you know, I call them the four wheels, and not all my wheels are pumped up all the time, you know, and you know, some of them carry the other ones, but my car still has to drive down the road. And I think that was the biggest thing, is like, well, if it's not here, I have to create it, because it's a part of it's my lifeline. It's one of my lifelines was that kind of fitness. That's what just, you know, kept me getting up in the morning and kept me pushing forward. And you know, it was a huge, still to this day, a massive part of my life, and in my sobriety too. And mental health, I think it's the number one thing any therapist or any person that's struggling with depression or struggling with, you know, bipolar disorder or anything like that, they're going to say you need to be physical. And
that's right.
So, you know, piggybacking off of that, yes, that we had to create something, and Black Orchid was, you know, it emerged, and it was just the way it happened was crazy. We were going to eventually buy a building. We have a properties company as well. So we were going to buy a building, and we were going to, you know, create this elaborate 3-room studio.
Yeah.
There was no way we would have gladly, that didn't happen. And a Bikram studio that was in town was really struggling. And somehow through the grapevine, they found out that we were looking to open a hot yoga studio, and their real estate agent called our real estate agent, and they said, hey, our real estate agent called us one night, and he's like, hey, come over to, you know, 2049 Broadwater Avenue. You have some people that want to chat with you that have a possible business. And I remember looking on Google, and it was a Bikram studio. And I'm going, what the hell? Like, you know, maybe these people want to have my head because I'm opening another studio in town.
Right.
And turns out they wanted to be out, and they said, hey, you can take our space. And it just worked out that way. I mean, it just, you know, and that's not the way it's going to be for everybody. I mean,
right. But the stars aligned for you.
But it did. And it started on a much smaller scale than we wanted to, which was just, you know, one studio, heated studio, and that was it. And then eventually I needed to bring those bikes in to be a part of it. And the first bikes we got, obviously running on a budget. And I know we're going to talk about budgeting and finances and stuff going down the line, but we did have to go with a really, you know what? I still respect the bikes because they were our first bikes, and they really were just bad. They, you know, and it was, you know, we did what we did just because of financially, it just made sense at the time.
Sure.
So we put these bikes in the hot yoga studio, and we started doing hot cycle. I mean, it was absurd. I mean, it was absolutely absurd, but people loved it. Like, it was, but you know, man, those bikes really wore down, and obviously that
Yeah.
spiraled me into the Johnny G bikes, which I will get into that at some point too.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of how it all started, and you know, it was just all history from there.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm glad that you did bring that up, because it is obviously a good segue into finances. But look, I have a similar background when I opened my facility as well. I was going really, really big. I had this big time investor, famous athlete that was going to be investing in me. He backed out last minute. I had to downsize my project. And I did a lot of the things that you did, you know, a lot of the, hey, I'm going to start small and grow big, you know, and so that is something I think super important for our audience, because our team is constantly helping new entrepreneurs that are opening up facilities and studios. Yeah. And that is one of their biggest things, is that their eyes are this big. They think they got to buy the biggest place possible. And then when we start putting the business plan together, they go, well, maybe I don't need that. You know, then it starts coming down to reality, what you really can afford. So I think that's super valid that you brought that up. You don't even have to get into, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and to understand, you know, we thought that we did all the cool advertising, and I mean, straight up thought that, you know, when the day we open, there's going to be a line out the door, right? You know, we're sitting there on opening day, all jacked up, and I'm talking crickets, man. It was super discouraging.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all these people saying they're going to come, and just, you know, a lot of zero burgers on a lot of classes right out of the gate. And it was really discouraging. But, you know, we kept moving, and all of a sudden they started to trickle in, and we kind of found our identity, which was kind of like I don't give a, you know what, you know, in our history of yoga, it's very, you know, laid back. And I was like, you know what, I'm not going to teach yoga classes to some of that crap Zen music. I'm sorry for anybody that does like that on this, on this webinar, you know, because that is, a lot of our teachers are very, very yogi. You know, I'm
right.
I'm 6'2", like 220. I think that my big shtick in my yoga classes was, I do play Metallica, Stone Temple Pilots. You know what I mean? That was part of it.
You have energy. Yours is more about energy. It's not just the Zen.
I'm passionate, man. I am passionate about the art of yoga. I really am. And the benefits that it has for sleep, and the benefits it has for, I mean, there's so many good benefits to yoga and cycle. And I, you know, obviously keeping it very specific to our studio was, you know, really keeping the integrity of where all of that stuff came from, because we do, but putting our own spin on it, and really branding it as ours was, I think, you know, someone was like, they're the Guns N' Roses of yoga studios, which I thought was super awesome.
That's cool. Totally. Absolutely.
And we kind of ran with it, and it just works. And I think a lot of these teachers that we bring in, you know, we don't make people teach a certain way.
Yeah.
We train them a certain way, and then we kind of let them open the door on what, you know, however they want the lights, or however they want their music, and how they structure their class, and how they do their sequencing. Jesus, that was a tough one. But giving our teachers the freedom to be themselves, and not be, because I've been to a lot of studios that just do the same thing over and over and over and over.
That's right. You promote creativity. Creativity. Absolutely. Yeah. I like that.
And I'll tell you what, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that's the unfortunate part about being a business owner, is I do have to look at those numbers. If those numbers are struggling, then we have to kind of look back at, you know, maybe it's the time, maybe it's the teacher, and then either get the necessary training, or work with them enough to a point where it starts to take off, and they start to, you know, create a following of their own, or we kind of have to scale stuff back.
That's right.
That's the other honest, horrible truth about being a studio owner too.
Yeah. Well, and business owner. At the end, you know,
it's results driven.
It's results driven, and it's a business at the end of the day. And these instructors, they have a responsibility. Look, I'm going to give you the opportunity to promote your creativity. Go for it. However, at the end of the day, you know, we have bikes here, and they can't be empty. So I get that. Let me ask you this though: to start a business or studio, and I know Montana compared to California, and listen, we have people on this webinar right now that are around the world. Yep. We had a lot from England last time, and we had some in France. I mean, so we have them from all over. So it's hard to be exact. But just to give somebody some basic knowledge of the start of studio, what should they think about, like, going into it, what it might cost them?
It really does depend on the size and your equipment and what you're doing. I wouldn't have been able to afford a Johnny G bike right out of the gate. However,
right.
I to be honest with you, I would have put 5 of those and been smarter with 5 of those bikes than 20 of the other ones. And that's based upon pure quality. That's based upon those other bikes that we had. And, again, they were our start, and I loved them for that. It was what it was. But
sure.
They broke down and fell apart so fast. And it got costly for parts. It got costly for maintenance. It really did. With the Johnny
time it's down, and the time the bikes are down, right?
Yeah, and not to mention,
so the ROI is just not there.
You guys have been so good with shipping and so good with maintenance and working with my maintenance guy to basically make him like a Johnny G expert. I mean, the guy knows, get you a Steve. We got a Steve here. He knows everything about these bikes, man. And the second they're down, he's here and they're back up. It's great. And your guys' team has done wonderful in teaching him. But the general, understanding cost of, it really does depend. If you're looking at, let's just say generally a 1,000 square foot studio, with a lobby, depending on whether you're renting, I mean, you could probably get away with opening a studio for $50,000 to $100,000. I would say that's, okay. If you're looking into taking a loan from a bank, or if you're going to take a loan from grandma, grandpa, or, take a, whatever, we operated under our own money, which I don't think that I would recommend if I was to do it all over, which I would never do it all over again. But if I was to do it, I think we would have been smart to go the bank route instead of funding it ourselves. You're not only creating,
that's interesting.
You're not only creating credit for yourself, credit for your business, but then there's so many other, things that, like I said, you're not going to come out of this thing and kill it right out of the gate. That's just, every business knows that. When you're creating a business plan, you generally create a 3 to 5 year, Excel spreadsheet, and you're lucky to be out of the red. And if you're out of the red in 2 to 3 years, you're killing it.
You're killing it. Right. Yeah.
But
I went through that same thing. Yeah.
Yep. To really invest the money in what you're doing, the meat and potatoes, I say, of what you're doing, which is your teachers, your classes, and your equipment. Really invest the money there. Don't invest the money in all this elaborate stuff. I mean, that will eventually, once you get your classes down, your teachers that are solid, the people will eventually come. Obviously you have to spend money on advertising. That's expensive. But right now with Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and it's actually relatively inexpensive. It really is. Like, promoting yourself. If you really want to promote yourself, you can. And we did spend a good amount of money on advertising, like with the radio back when we opened in 2014 or 15. I think it was 15. Radio advertising was still a thing, which I don't even know if it is. I don't even know. But we were spending thousands of dollars a month, and I would recommend not going that route. I would recommend social media marketing, finding someone that can create good content constantly, videos, updates. I mean, really being on top of advertising trends in social media. That's been a huge part. And luckily our, I call them, referred marketing is our people out there talking to people. And I was just thinking
that with your philosophies and what you're training your team to do, and all this customer service and caring about their experience, that's going to naturally give you a lot of that referral marketing, right? That, because the kids in there, I call them kids, but that are doing those selfies and all those things, right? They're going to be doing that marketing for you. They have these followings, and I didn't really, when I opened my gym, that stuff just started, taking off. And I didn't really realize it until I was like, oh, I have all these little influencers running around my gym that are teaching these classes. I didn't even know what it meant. And it was like, this is what's blowing us up. So
Another big part that I think that, you know, that we did was, instead of buying other companies' apparel to sell, which I know the markup is good, you know, and you're generally
Right.
making back on in any of the apparel you're getting. Our biggest advertiser was creating our own apparel and just getting it from these apparel companies, putting our own logos on it. And you're basically, people are paying you to advertise you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like to have, and we came up with some really funny thing like Zen as fuck on hats, and excuse the language again, I'm trying to watch that, but stuff that is going to catch people's eye, and they're going to say, where did you get that hat? And they're going to go, Black Orchid. And then all of a sudden you have people showing up just to buy apparel, and then all of a sudden they want to tour, and they're going, holy cow, like this place is awesome. Like the people that work here are fantastic. That is a huge deal, was really branding yourself. And, you know, of course we wanted to sell Lululemon in here, and we wanted to sell, you know, Aloe and, you know, all the big yoga brands. But I'm sitting here going like, why would we pay that much money, you know, to promote another? Yeah, that stuff is great. But I personally, we never did really good with like apparel, like yoga wear or cycle wear.
Yeah.
Like we really didn't do good with, you know, with selling that stuff, because there's a bunch of big box places that carry it here that can do it at a bigger scale than we can.
Sure.
So I'm going, let's just create something, do some really funny stuff that has our logo on it, that really catches people's eye. To make sure to take photos of it, like candid photos, and blast that shit online. And it really started to snowball into this huge thing where, I mean, it would be crazy to go to, you know, like a Shields or like a big store with not seeing someone with our hat or someone with our hoodies. But I want people to wear the clothes out. Like, I don't want them to wear them in the studios, stuff them in their bag. That does nothing for me. I mean, you know, I want them to wear my stuff out. So we're getting a bunch of crop top hoodies, a bunch of, you know, zip pullovers, flat bill hats, some sweats that have our logo down the side of them. And that's another thing that really snowballs the creation of your own brand. That was a big deal.
Did that help your membership base grow? Like, did you notice that, you know, from start to when you started to mature, like, you know,
there's a lot of ways.
It had to be specific, but
yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can track membership sales and analytics and where this came from, where that came from. But I don't know. I don't know if it did. I know it really did. It did really good online. And I can go back and show likes and shares of posts of, we'll have, you know, a professional photographer come in and take pictures of our girls, or, you know, some of the guys and some of the stuff, and that shit gets shared like crazy. And then all of a sudden this big influx in sales. And, you know, you just never know if it became a membership.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, it was a sale. So
but you saw your individual numbers at the facility. They're growing up. However it's working, you know, it doesn't take, there's not one secret. That's why I remember is that it's not one thing that you do and then all of a sudden everything takes off. It's a million little things, right?
Yep.
And so if you know, roughly, you don't have to be specific because this is your business, and who knows, your competitor could be watching this webinar as well. But, you know, how many members do you have, and what do you think? Because I want folks to understand, if they buy a studio of 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 square feet, what should they go for? I mean, what's optimal for them?
So optimal, you know, going into, say, our first year, we averaged around maybe, you know, and you know, you say members, but we have class packs, people that can buy 10 pack, 20 pack, 30 pack.
Right.
You have people that can do a monthly auto pay. You have people that can do a monthly auto pay with childcare, because we also have childcare here, which is another massive market.
Huge.
Huge was something that we did basically because we just wanted our own kids here when we were working, because we were so much. And so we had hired a gal, and then we had an extra room in the back, and we turned it into a childcare place, and it was awesome. Like, it was so
brilliant.
Cool. That took off. That was another thing. You know, I think right around 50 to 100 members. You know, first year, second year, maybe 150 to 200. And then in our third year was when things really just tipped. And we went to about 500 members after our third year. And I
Wow.
think, you know, then you move into like 2018 and 19, where we were still growing, you know, to the point where a lot of our classes were selling out, and understanding that we would have about 5 cycle classes a day with 19, 20 bikes. And, you know, 6 or 7 yoga classes that have the space for 65 to 70 people in them. And they were all selling out, which was unbelievable. I mean, you're talking, you know, just a massive, like overwhelming amount of
Yeah.
people in sport, which is super cool. And then
Well,
COVID
maybe
happened.
I could squeak. Maybe I could. Oh yeah, then COVID hit. Yeah, that was,
You know, and
that
then
hammered.
we took a hit, man. We, you know, everything did. I don't care who you are, what you did. But our big thing was still making content. And luckily we did have, you know, 5 years under our belt at that time. And we did have the member base to really still be just fine. You know, and having hundreds of members reach out to you on social media, telling you to do not stop taking my monthly dues out, because you better be open when this country opens up.
Well, did you think that it might be wise, and this isn't a cheap plug looking for anything, but did you think it might be wise to invest in maybe some equipment at that time?
Absolutely. And we did. That was actually, I think, when we did make the switch over to John, or no, it was right before that is when we made the switch and we opened this studio. It was in January or February of 2020, I believe.
I think it was 2020, because I remember you and I talking.
Yeah, when we took over, because another suite had opened up in our building, and we also have a salon as well. We kind of have a compound here, over 9,000 square feet now. And so that's when we actually took over this studio to make it only the cycle studio. And now we have 2 yoga studios over at the other place, a salon next door to all of that, and now this place. And of course, that's another one of those very discouraging moments when you open this place that you've dreamed of opening forever, and boom, COVID happens and it's a full-on shutdown. And I think right before that happened is when we invested in the Johnny G bikes, because we were just killing it. And I'm like, we got to up our bike game. We got to I remember looking at all the bikes, you know, going through stages and, you know, all the big bike brands, Le Mans, like, you know, all Schwinn and everything. And I came across the Johnny G bike, which was tippy top of the line as far as when I did all my research. And I was like, that's a Black Orchid bike. That's an arena bike. I mean, you look at that thing and it looks, I call it the stealth fighter. It looks like a stealth, you know, it fits our brand so well. It's just such a good looking bike, and it's such an awesome, it's just the best ride I've ever had. And I've been on many, you know, probably 50 different bikes in 50 different studios. And I can't tell you how it really did up our game here when people came in and started riding these bikes, and it became a big competition because it's got that big LED screen. You can see how far you're going, what level you're on, your cadence, your watts, you know, it really did take us from kind of, you know, mid-level cycle studio to the premier cycle studio when these bikes were announced. And people came in and they're like, this is the nicest bike I've ever been on. You know, it doesn't make my ass sore, which is another thing that a lot of cycle people go into new studios and they sit on some of those seats, and you know, you'll sit down in your car and it feels like you're sitting on like a bed of razor blades. But this bike is next level for us. It really upped our game to that next level cycle studio.
Yeah. No, there's a big difference. I mean, look, I personally am not a huge cyclist myself, but having a studio, I remember going from the difference of having a quality bike that's sturdy, that's not janky, moving around. You can't adjust anything right. You know, I mean, it's hard to explain, but the level, and people that cycle and spin, I mean, these folks know, right? They know. You can't fool them. I don't care if you put shiny paint on it. It doesn't matter.
No, and it's funny because a lot of those hardcore cyclists, you know, that did come into our studio and they were kind of like, oh, these bikes suck. And they're, you know, it's weird because it's hot. And they're playing a bunch of music that has the F word every other word, you know, and we're doing all these dates and all these big old, you know, like where cycle is moving into, unfortunately, that's where it is. And you do have to follow trend. You do have to try and be the trend, try and be something different. And I really try to tell our teachers to be yourself. Don't try and be me. Don't try and be, you know, you can, and I tell everyone, like, steal my songs, steal my drills, steal my stuff, and make it your own. Like, really, really, you know, and then, because there's people that won't touch my class with a 10-foot pole. We have 1,100 members here total now.
Wow.
It's huge. But yeah, like I said, a good amount of them won't touch my class, and I still, you know, that's great. But they do love my other teachers, and that's all fine too. I think that's fantastic. There's teachers that play nothing but EDM music, which I can't stand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't get on board with it. I'm just I'm an old school rock guy. You know, I'm like a grunge guy, and so my classes are geared more towards that. But everyone has, again, all of our teachers have found their niche. They have gotten their audiences. And another big thing about teachers is treat them well, pay them well. We have a commission basis here. If they sell their class out, they get a bonus.
See, that's good. That is great to reward them, not just because, and I think that's a very interesting point. I'm glad you brought that up at the end without me asking it, because it was one of my questions, but to bring that up, to encourage, to reward, you know, because a lot of places and some of the big name brands, and we don't have to name their names, but some of the big brands, that's what they'll do is they'll be, you class will pay you $35 or $50 or whatever it is, a set rate, but they're not motivated when they get in there. They don't care if one person shows up or, you know, if it's a full class. Yeah. So,
and it is, you know, that we did kind of have to learn that. I mean, and in the beginning, you have to, you know, you have to be able to, our thing was, you know, in any business, you pay your overhead. And if there's a dime left when it's all done, that's what you take home. Right.
Right.
And a lot of people don't run their business like that. They want to start with a salary. And I'm sitting here going,
yeah.
And I get you. That's why going the business route, because going the business loan route rather may be a little smarter, because in your business plan, you're going to work in a salary for yourself, unless you have other forms of income, which luckily my wife and I did. And that's why we were able to, you know, to do it the way we did it. And again, I wish that because I can't tell you how much money we pushed back into this thing. Had we had a business loan with a plan that really understood, we had a plan, but it didn't understand. Maybe I was a little, I thought it was going to be a lot cooler than it was right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And that's just the pure honesty of, you know, being a new business owner is to.
That's right.
You know,
you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
And we've learned so much with our struggle. And my wife always says, find grace in your struggle. And I'm always like, I can't stand it when she says that, but it's so true. To understand that those struggles that happened in the beginning, you look back, you know, and I can look back now and say, man, I'm grateful for all of the long nights that we, you know, sat up going, where in the hell are we going to find people to come and be like, what we've done, everything, why won't? Keep plugging, it will happen. Find your niche and really beat the shit out of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like really hammer it
okay,
home.
So because I have two more questions, because I'm time's getting away from us. I've got to turn it over. It's so fun talking to you. I literally could do this all day, but I have to stay on our little bit of a timeline. But that was one of my last two questions, was what advice do you have for people that are watching us today? You know, for anyone that's thinking about opening their own cycling studio or their own fitness studio. And I think you almost answered it right there.
Yeah. You know, I think the biggest thing for us was just, it's keep plugging. You're going to hear that, you know, you'll, and that's not any, you know, I'm not reinventing the wheel by any business, you know, but find your niche, you know, don't do what people are doing, do something different. And that was our biggest thing was, you know, and of course I have my music background and everything like that. I can get away with a lot of things that a lot of other people probably, and now all of our teachers can get away with it because they're under that umbrella of Black Orchid in the arena.
That's right. That's right. So that actually leads me to my last question. because
Yep.
I'm getting on time here, is that what's next for you and Black Orchid? And there might be folks that are watching this webinar that maybe want to get involved. Maybe they could consider a franchise. I don't know, but you know, what's next for you and Black Orchid?
So we've just been trademarked by the government. We do have, we have our trademark, and we're starting our franchise, I guess, putting our franchise together, which is almost done, you know, with our attorneys. And I said that by the end of 2022, we'll have 10 locations. In 10 years, we'll have 100 locations. That's what I would love. You know,
awesome.
Whether that be, you know, I think my wife and I will probably open another one in Newport Beach. That's kind of next. That's just where we love to go. I lived there for a good amount of time, and that's just kind of that's my home, my other home. But you know, it is to start advertising for our franchise. So, you know, and I do. We have a brand good enough to really, you know, just a process in our own cycle. I created our own cycle certification here through Black Orchid in the arena. That we would go, you know, we basically I would have people go around and train cycle instructors all over the nation, you know, to open cycle studios everywhere. It doesn't have to be just in America. It can be all over the world. You know, that's kind of
I love it. Well, what we'll do is at the end of this, we're going to go to a Q&A. I'm going to turn it over to Brent now, but then after that, what we'll do at the end, we'll go to a Q&A, and Will can help us, or help the folks that are tuned in to get, maybe they can get your social media, they can get maybe some contact info, but we'll go into that now. But I'm going to turn it over to Brent, who's going to explain a little bit about the mentorship program. If you wouldn't mind, Peter, stay on board with us for a little bit until the end, in case there's going to be some folks that have some questions. Will, do you want to go ahead and pick it up from here? Or?
Yeah, definitely. Really great conversation there.
Peter's so awesome. I could seriously sit there all day and talk to the guy.
Definitely. And
my wife,
you know, you mentioned no, it was really terrific. Lots of great information there. And as Matteo mentioned, you can follow Peter right now on Instagram. He's also on Facebook. Black Orchid is that, by the way. And then we've also put his email address up here. Peter's graciously agreed to, you know, respond to any questions people want to send him through email. But on the topic of questions, one thing I did not mention was that we are going to have a Q&A, as Matteo referenced, at the end of this webinar. And there's actually a really easy way for anyone who's attending, to send us a question. All you need to do is just go down. It's usually at the bottom of your screen, depending on how you're looking at Zoom. And there's a little symbol that says Q&A. And if you click on it, you can type that question in. And at the Q&A session, which is going to be in about 10 minutes, we'll be able to direct any of the questions that we get to Peter. So please take advantage of that. I'm sure that there's a lot that may come to mind right now. We'd love for everyone to benefit from any questions that people have. Before we do that, though, we do want to talk quickly about a program that we offer that we're very excited about. Actually, we see it as the next logical step to opening your own fitness facility. It's something that we've been working very hard at, something that we've been doing for a while now. We call it the Mentorship program. And I'm going to bring in Brent, our Vice President of Sales and Marketing. Brent, welcome. And we're just going to have a quick conversation about this mentorship program, kind of gives people an introduction to it. And I'll start the question right off the bat. You know, what is it? If you're going to sum it up, what is the mentorship program?
Yeah, thanks, Will. And just before I get into that, I just want to thank Peter and Matteo for that discussion. It was great, a lot of good information. The mentorship, just like you said, it's kind of the most logical direction when you're ready to start a fitness business. So we work with fitness business startups. Peter, today we're featuring him and cycling studios, but we help with training studios, professional garage gyms at home, gyms, all sorts of things. If it's a fitness business, we can help. So, but what it does is it helps people to kind of get in, especially when they're unsure, to get in and help guide them through the whole process of opening their own, whatever their fitness business is.
Yeah, I know one of the terms we've been using is as like a roadmap. right? Like, here's where you start, here's the next thing you need to do, here's the next thing you need to do. And my understanding of it is, as well, is, we actually attach people who are in the program to mentors, people who have done this before, who can help walk people through all of those steps. Uh, who would you say that this program is for, Brent? Who is it directed towards? Who is it good for?
I think that in general, personal trainers, aerobics instructors, group exercise instructors, trainers, I already said that, coaches, general managers, area managers, people that have been in the fitness industry. This is a very logical next step for those people who are ready to reach the next level of their development in their career. So, or just ready to go out on their own. So that's the logical one. Like we were talking about with the cycling studio, in this case especially, you don't necessarily need to have a long history in the fitness industry. Business will help, or in some cases there's some easier ways to go. And this is where the mentorship program helps too. If somebody comes in maybe too ambitious, maybe we'll talk to them about it and maybe bring them back through discussion and everything, bring them back to a more reasonable approach for their level of experience.
Hmm. What are some specific benefits of the program?
Well, some of the specific benefits, sorry, I hope I'm not getting ahead of this, but we work on a 3D floor plan design for all of our mentorship applicants, or I should say, not applicants, but participants. And that's very detailed, and that's probably one of people's favorite thing about what we do. We also help work on a business plan, and that's where we go into the roadmap to how to open your own gym. That business plan really does go step by step, and it's very robust and this helps you get a loan. So that's part of it as well. And then
Yeah.
lots of guidance and information, and kind of like a business council that'll help. People can throw their ideas off us, and we help guide them through the process.
Hmm. And those are just a few of the big ones. I mean, there's a lot of other little things that you get, but yeah, I mean, as you said, really comes down to the 3D floor plan, and the business plan. And the 3D floor plan is actually something we have an example of we can show right now. So let me just pull this video up, and we will share the screen. I believe everyone can see. So Brent, what is it that we're seeing here?
Yeah, this is a EC design. It's a 3D floor plan. So when we work with people, oftentimes people find locations, and maybe we'll send them off to start talking with commercial real estate agents. They can find locations. If we get a floor plan, then I can take that floor plan and I can build a 3D image like this. And so this is the walkthrough part. We also do like a PDF presentation. This helps a lot. I mean, we help a lot of people open gyms, and people don't usually come to us and say, hey, this is what we want. They come to us and say, this is our floor space. What's normal for the floor space, and then we do that and then make some small changes along the way. So you see here, like, this is the office, and we can personalize it as much as possible. I can do posters, things on the television, we can brand it for you. So this is a good way to help people sell their idea to a bank, to investors, things like that. We've got so many items we can put in. You can see there we got a kickboxing gym. This is based on this one. This is the cycling studio. We've got the Johnny G bike there. I can make it as cool as you want. I wish we could have some more light shows, but actually there's stuff we could do to really brighten it up. But this is an example. We could do like a theater style like that. And we're looking at the floor space. This is a gym I put together just kind of for fun, that has a little bit of everything to show people what we could do. I could put people in there, but generally I would say this is the part that people are usually the most excited about, and the thing that people have the most fun getting, right? We'll get into the business plan, but the business plan is kind of like the academic side of it. It's what you need, and it's what really gives the numbers. It's not the most fun part because there's more work and time involved in it, but this is the most fun part.
Yeah. And, as we keep letting this play, what I've heard back from the people that at least I've talked to who've gone through the program, the cool thing is, like, people are mentors. You guys will help them put together this 3D renderer, and that is the fun part, like you said, but you'll also hold them accountable with the tough stuff, like the business plan. It's not just guidance, it's also something that you can kind of be there and say, where are you at with this yet? That's one of the things I've heard people have really, really actually appreciated. It's not just you trying to motivate yourself completely on your own.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, Brent, with this 3D render, what is it that you've seen it be helpful for? Because it's obviously very, very cool and inspiring to see your vision come to life, but how has it actually been helpful in other ways for people who've gone through this program?
Yeah, it's helpful for people to really visualize their space. It helps some people, pick a space and they think, hey, I want all these things. I've had people order 3 times more equipment than will fit. I want 3 leg presses and 3. So there helps with that. I mean, like I said, it also helps to visualize the project. It helps to motivate the person who has the project. Once they really see their thing physically, it motivates them to work harder to reach that goal. It helps people to sit down with an investor or even a team of people that you want to bring. Sometimes when you're starting a gym, an investor would love to see that you're bringing on 4 or 5 people that have been in the fitness industry with lots of experience. Well, you need to get those people to quit their jobs and come over to your job. Well, if they see your project and they know that you're on track for this, it helps for that. So from the sales presentation, gaining employees, getting a loan, convincing investors. I mean, those are some of the obvious things. There's many benefits.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And as Peter already, alluded to, and as you've talked about, this is one step, and the business plan is another huge part of this as well, that investors also care a lot about seeing. And these are the 2 of the big things that you get from this program. I don't want to take up too much more time, but one thing I want to hit now is the cost of this program, and that the answer to that is 0. This program is completely free. And I think that's something that, a lot of people who've gone through it have been surprised to find out. Brent, would you tell us, why it is that we're even doing this? Why are we offering this free program? And are there really no strings attached?
Yeah, I mean, we hope that when we're done and we've worked together with you as the team and everything, you guys will choose Spirit Commercial Fitness as your equipment supplier. That's our hope. There's no, we're not asking for you to, guarantee you're going to do that ahead of time. We're here to help you and get to that spot. But yeah, there's no strings attached. One of the things we do, as far as the business plan, we can give you advice and show you some stuff how to write a business plan. We also have ways where we have partners that will write a business plan for you for a very low price. Like usually it's like $2,500 or to $5,000 to get a business plan. And we work with one guy very specifically, charges about $500. So we can help you write one and give you some stuff. That'll take you some time and some effort. But if you have this guy do it, he could usually do it in a couple of weeks and save tons of time. So that's not a cost that we charge, but that is something. There are elective things that you could add that might add to the cost if you want something a little better or you want different or you want to save time.
Definitely. But of course, so if you want additional help writing things, there are things you can pay for. But to be in this program, to get the EC design, all of that is completely free. We're going to show everyone an easy way they can sign up for the program or just learn more about it in just a moment. We have one more video to play, and it's a video featuring a few people who have already been through this program. As we talked about before, this is something we've been doing for a while now, and we've already seen people come all the way through it. And we interviewed them, a few of them, and here's what they had to say.
I feel like it's a college course into writing a business plan, kind of in Cliff Note view, in your own pace, and simplified versus making things complicated.
One of the most helpful things that the mentorship program has done for us is help us visualize what our gym is going to look like. Brent actually helped us build a 3D model of the gym, complete with equipment, with lighting, the paint on the walls, everything from decoration to functionality.
And then after that's all put together, then they do like a flyover of the 3D, so you really feel like it's a space that's there, but it's not there.
Anyone who invests in your business wants to know what your vision is, and the best way to do that is through an actual visualization. So reaching out to mentors, people who've done it before, anyone who might have knowledge that can help you is a great tool. And I think the mentorship program is a really good way to accomplish that.
All right, and there you have it. That's our mentorship program. I'm going to put back up on the screen an easy way that you can sign up for it. It's at a web address, spiritcommercialusa.com/mentorship. And we're going to send an email out once this webinar is finished, which will be soon, that will send you straight to this program sign up page. And we want to invite anyone who's even thinking about it. Let us know that you're interested. Let us know if you have any questions. And if you have any questions right now, be sure to hit that Q&A button, because that is what's coming next, our Q&A. And so we want to welcome back in Peter and Matteo and Brent. And we're going to stand by. We already have had some good questions come in. And it looks like a lot of them are for Peter, as we expected. Is he still there?
Yeah, I'm here. It
okay.
Yeah, it says you
All
need
right.
to start my video, I guess.
Yeah, you probably just need to hit that camera button up at the symbol of the
Can't start your video because the host has stopped it.
Huh. Okay, well, let me see if I can fix that. Because people need to see you, Peter. I mean,
I know.
Your voice is one thing. Here we go. You're right. It was totally me. Okay, there we go. So you should have got an invite now to join in.
There we go.
So the first question that we have is actually something you touched on already, but it's about equipment. This person just wants to know what were like the factors that you really considered when investing in the bikes, because that's one of the larger investments, and how did you settle on what you ended up with?
Partial was warranty. Knowing that we, have in a day anywhere, these bikes could go upwards of 100 miles a day, every single bike. I mean, and that's a lot of wear and tear. And not only that, but a big part, Matteo was a huge part, when we reached out, and just how fast everybody gets back to my people. That was a huge part, because we had really struggled with the last company about just getting in touch with, kind of like that same thing I said, do you guys want my money? And you guys actually did want my money. So the good thing was the customer service was such a massive. Matteo, I got to thank you for that. You've been so huge, and just always getting back to me right away, no matter if you're in Colombia or Los Angeles or wherever you're at. You always do get, but that was a huge part. And I think Spirit has been such a massive part in us just continuing to buy more bikes and buy more bikes. They make it really easy. The product on its own is top level, top shelf as far as the cycle bikes go. And if you do your own research, you'll come across a lot of companies, but the warranty in the actual bike, to me, there was nothing like it. There was absolutely not another bike on the market that even comes close to what the Johnny G bike does for us personally. I mean, the look of it is fantastic. How to use it is fantastic. That was a huge part. Customer service, warranty. And I think that there are bikes that are fantastic out there that, try to get somebody on the phone, and it would just, it would just be impossible. And so that was a huge part.
Yeah. Full disclosure, in case we didn't make it clear already, Spirit is the manufacturer of the Johnny G bike that you've talked about. So obviously, and that's how we're connected to you, obviously. We may be a little biased, but, we do market the Johnny G bike as the top of the line. And it's the truth. And we hear from a lot of people kind of the same thing that you're saying.
Absolutely true.
So
yeah.
If anybody does want to know more about that specific bike, we'll probably send a link about to the website and the email that's going to go out after this webinar as well. But it's a lot more than just a bike, and there are other bikes absolutely that are good as well. Okay, well, great question there. We have another one from Suzanne. She says, "Hi, Peter. What is the best advice you received when first starting out that you'd pass on to someone who's just getting started in their journey to opening their own studio?"
Yeah, I mean, it just has to go back to make sure that your business plan it's going to change, but to be very, I say, liberal with your the costs of things, and a little on the high side financially. And I can't tell you how many business plans I've done since, and I actually recently just did another one about 6 months ago. But it's to really put your money into the places that are going to create you the most revenue, meaning your classes, the people that work for you. Take care of those people. That's been a huge, is to create that team, because there's no way I could do this on my own. Absolutely no way if I didn't have my managers and my teachers, and down to Steve, my maintenance man, who we take very, very, very good care of our people. And that not only our people, but your clients, your members. Don't treat one better than the other. Stay very steady with your pricing. Stay very, it's so easy. And I've had a lot, it's funny, I've had a lot of teachers that, more so yoga teachers, that go, I have such a hard time charging someone $150 a month or $20 for a class or whatever it is. And I have to say, well, what do you feel like you're worth? Do you feel like you're worth $20 a class? Do you feel like you're worth $25 a class? And understanding the worth of what you're putting into this versus, someone coming in going, that's so expensive, and I think that's ridiculous. And I think that, I understand my worth. It's taken a little bit. It's taken a little time in this industry, but really sticking strong and again, having really good open communication and honesty with all of your staff and really a lot of your members, to treat everybody good. I mean, that's been, it's such a big deal for, like, the customer service is such a huge deal for me. Make people feel comfortable, because it is very, very uncomfortable to walk into a studio that you've never been into. Go up, take them, show them, get them fit on their bikes, make it known that you can answer any questions, and you can, I think that's the kind of stuff that people take out of your studio, and they go tell other people about it, and they go, well, shit, I want to come try that. And then they come in, and all of a sudden you have lifelong members, and these people are paying thousands of dollars, just for your company, and to treat them as if that's what they're doing and not just another, head in your room. That's a huge, huge deal.
Oh, lots of great advice there. Got another question, this one from Jonathan. How do you structure your membership pricing, and has that changed since you started?
Yeah, Jonathan, good question. Yeah, we've, it is funny. We did a little research when we first opened, and we're researching what other studios were doing and gyms, and what the pricing was. And that's kind of where we based our price when we first opened, was just right below, what anyone else was offering. And it, I think people would initially, the first thing that they're going to think of is what is the price of all this stuff? Like, that's their first thought. They haven't understood the quality of the product that you're selling. All they know is, oh, I'm going to go over here because the price is better. Once you get to a certain, we sell packaged deals like 10 packs, 20 packs, 30 packs of classes. We sell 3-month unlimited, 6-month unlimited, 9-month unlimited, and a year unlimited. We sell auto pay monthly. And, you kind of have to break down your prices according to what, obviously if someone's going to pay me $1,500 a year, to come and have unlimited access to all these classes, they're going to get a price break. And I think that if someone's going to pay for a 10 pack, they're going to pay a little bit more per class than somebody who is buying a 30-pack of classes. You kind of have to look at your market. You have to look at who, what the prices are going for in your general area. And that's kind of where you have to base your price. And it really depends on, obviously, on what you're selling too, how many classes you're having, throughout the week, how many classes you offer a day. We start at 5:30 a.m. and we go all the way until 8 p.m. So we offer more than anybody in this area, but that's just because we have the teachers to be able to do that. And I didn't really, in the beginning, when we didn't have many teachers, I was teaching like 20 classes a week, and that can run you into the ground. It really can make you hate what you do. And that's why the other part of understanding what other teachers are making at other studios, and you just got to pay them. You know what I mean? You really have to invest in your brand. You have to invest in your people, and they will stick with you through everything, if you treat them right. But yeah, understanding your market and price from there, based upon what you're selling.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was a really good question, and thank you for being so detailed in it, because I think that's like one of the like the secret sauce there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have time for right now. Brent, Matteo, is there anything you wanted to add on the tail end of this before we send people off? Thanks so much to everyone who's still stuck around. I know this has gone a little longer than we planned for.
Well, there's one more question that was up there that I do want to ask, because I think this is helpful. It
Okay.
says, it's from an anonymous attendee: does the mentorship program help with an instructor training program? If not, are there resources to help structure a training program for the new instructors? So the mentorship program, think of us as a board of directors. So we're not the service. So we won't necessarily be the ones teaching you how to use bike, but we're, as an advisor, will say, this is where you can go to get it, and this is what you want to avoid. You don't want to pay too much. You don't want to pay little. You don't want to do the weekend training. We would probably introduce you to somebody like Peter. We've been in the industry for a long time. We have a lot of connections. We've helped a lot of people open studios. We've opened our own. So we use those connections and people we know and the things we learn not to do, who not to send your money to and get ripped off, things like that. So we always guide you in the right direction. So like I said, we might get you in contact with Peter and say, hey, Peter, can you help them? Or they have some questions. Or sometimes maybe Peter will be a guest mentor in one of your programs because you're opening a studio, and maybe he would be willing to sit on your board. So that's the answer to that question.
Okay. No, yeah, another great question. We definitely tailor the program to the people who are in it. And it's personalized. It's not the same exact thing for everyone. Okay, great. Well, I think that brings us about to the close. We want to thank everyone one last time for joining in. And again, thank you for sticking around. And Peter, thank you so much for sticking around as well and answering the questions that we had and being so forthcoming about, the lessons you've learned.
Absolutely.
We want to, yeah, I mean, really, it was a really great conversation. We'll throw your contact information up one more time. You can reach Peter if you had a question for him at peter@livebblackorchid.com, and be sure to follow his studio on Instagram or Facebook at least. It's a great way to stay in tune with what they're doing right now, and also get a better grasp of the brand that he's created. We also are on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. We'd love to invite everyone as well to get on there and check us out. In particular, our YouTube channel is something we've spent a lot of time building. There's lots of videos there focused as well on helping people get started in the fitness industry. One of the things that Peter talked about quite a bit was finding your niche. Well, that just so happens to be the title of the latest YouTube video we just published a couple weeks ago. So if you're interested, go check that out. You can also learn more about Spirit Commercial Fitness, the company, at spiritcommercialfitness.com. And here, one more time, is the website that you can sign up for the mentorship program, spiritcommercialusa.com/mentorship. If that's too much to jot down, don't worry. We'll be sending you an email shortly with a link to that address. I think that does it for us. We're going to sign off now. Thank you so much again for joining us, and be sure to tune in to next month's webinar. I'm sure you'll get an email from us about that in the next couple of weeks as well. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thanks, fellas. It was awesome. We got
Thanks,
to go
everybody.
visit
Peter.
Peter
Thanks.
sometime, Will, and Brent. Let's take the girls out there to a Montana trip.
That's right.
Montana would be great. Yeah, thanks a lot, Peter. That was a great interview, and thanks everybody for participating.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.